Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. With that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors.
Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time.
All right, thank you all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
What it do? I'm Jermaine.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do, give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
Yeah. My name is Jermaine, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Not from Portland. I'm actually from Kansas.
Oh, interesting.
From a little town in Kansas called Olathe, Kansas. That's where I'm from. I moved to Portland in 2008. Mm-hmm. I was in the Marines. I was in the military out of high school. And I got out, and my roommate was like, "Hey, man, you do music? You should just come with me back to Portland." I'm like, "Well, I'm not going back to Kansas, so I guess I'll be in Portland." And I've been here ever since.
Oh, yeah, that's rad. And then, just going back a little bit, what got you into music initially?
Initially, I feel like I have the same background as a lot of black musicians, and it's the church.
Okay.
That's 1,000% where I started. Just
gotcha.
Church choir, and then I was in choir in elementary and junior high and high school, and it's been a part of my whole life, essentially.
Oh yeah, I dig that.
Yeah.
And was everybody in your house musical growing up?
No.
Okay, so you're first generation?
Oh yeah, first generation. Fun little fact, I'm adopted.
Oh.
And my adoptive mother was in the church choir, but that's kind of the extent of that.
Okay, so at least that's how you kind of found your way into it.
Yeah.
I dig that. Now, before we get into more of what you do in the present day, I do have a couple foundation questions I like to check in with everybody on.
Of course, yeah.
And this first one is one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
I know exactly which one it was too, and it's I'm not dating myself, okay? Maybe I am. Whatever. The first tape that I bought was Boyz II Men, Water Runs Dry.
Okay.
That was the first tape that I ever bought with my own money.
I dig that.
And I can't remember. I don't remember how old I was, but I remember just getting that tape and giving the person at the counter $1 or something, or $5 or something. I can't remember how much it was, and I was just like, I slept with that tape. You know what I mean? I was like, this is the first thing I've ever bought musically with my own money. You know? And so, that's the first tape that I ever owned.
That is a quality first choice.
I played the shit out of that tape.
Oh, I could only imagine. This has been said on the show many times, so this isn't news to them, but one of the first CDs I ever bought with my own money was the Carter.
Oh,
the original, the Carter.
The original
and
Carter.
Same boat. I know. Yeah. I still to this day can do the entire opening track from memory, and I still know most of the words to the whole thing. So that's there.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
But then getting back to you, what was one of the first live shows you ever went to that was specifically one you wanted to go to?
Oh, that specifically I wanted to go to. Ooh. Let's see. So. Funny thing, so obviously I'm a musician. I've been in music for a long time. I can't remember, but I went with a love interest to my first. Oh wait, no. Dang it. So the first concert that I wanted to go to was actually in Portland. And that was a few years ago, and that was Tom Misch.
Whoa.
I got to see Tom Misch. I think at the time he was like 23, and he was playing. Where was he? I think he was playing at the Roseland.
Okay.
And
man, I bet that was a cool show.
It was cool. It was super cool. I actually enjoyed it. I went with my lady at the time, and Tom Misch is one of those cats that you hear his record and you're like, damn, this dude sounds good.
Yeah.
And then you hear him live, you're like, he sounds just like the record. I like that.
Yeah.
Because you know what you're getting. Because there's so many people that you go and that you want to go listen to, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, I've listened to your CDs for so long. I'm finally going to go see a show. And you go see the show and you're like, this is not what I expected.
Yeah, I understand that.
And sometimes it's the other way around. Some you're like, this show was way better than the actual album, but it's like, so. But that was the first one, Tom Misch.
That's rad.
I had a fantastic time.
Oh, I could only imagine. Yeah. Was anybody else on the bill with him, or was that like just Tom?
As far as I remember, I think it was just Tom.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he could definitely hold it down on his own.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah. Hell yeah, that's rad.
Yeah.
Now, before we officially get into more of you in the present day, do you have a defining moment where you decided you wanted to take music more seriously?
I've like since I've moved to Portland in 2008, I've always, like, as a kid, like, when you're in school and they're like, little Timmy, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he's like, I want to be a fireman, and like little Susie wants to be a doctor. And they get to me, they're like, what you mean? What do you want to be? I'm like, yeah, I want to be a famous musician.
Okay. Okay,
like,
so it's been
like,
since the beginning.
Yeah, since the beginning, and I kind of got lost.
No, you're okay. That is it. Like, what was the defining moment for you to take music more seriously?
Yeah, like to take it more seriously. When I moved to Portland, obviously I was just working jobs and stuff like that, and doing this whole thing and trying to get into the scene. And in the beginning, I was actually I was working with some hip hop artists, doing just like background singing stuff, like choruses and stuff like that. And then I met Will Kinky out here, and you guys know Will. And I met Will. I met Will like late 2008, early 2009 at a party. And periodically, like throughout the years, the next year or two, I would see him at different parties. And he's like, you want to jam? And he'd play his guitar and I'd rap and we'd have a great time. We'd sing and all this stuff. And he was like, yo, you want to join my band? It was a high school band.
Yeah.
And I was like, never been in a band before, but that could be cool.
Yeah.
And so we started doing some band stuff and doing, some little shows, and his brother played drums for us. And it was kind of in that moment we used to play at the Queen of Hearts, which is right down the street from where we're at now. And it was a biker's bar at the time. And we used to pack that place out. It used to get packed in there. Yeah. And I look back now and I'm like, biker bar, it's like our aesthetic, you know what I'm saying? And we're doing hip hop and stuff. People loved it. And it was that was kind of one of the defining moments where I'm like, hey, we could actually like do this as a thing. Yeah. And that's kind of like where we started like pushing to do more stuff together as a band.
Hell yeah, I dig that. That's rad.
Oh yeah.
All right, now let's go ahead and let's get on into more of you in the present day.
Cool.
We are going to get what I am very sure is a very easy one out of the way, but I ask everybody, how'd you pick the name?
My name?
Yeah.
My artist name?
Yeah.
It's my name.
There we go. Okay. I had a feeling.
I was like...
I had a feeling.
Yeah, because I'm like... because as a musician, I feel like, well, not even just a musician themselves, but also being in the hip hop game, right? It's like you're always trying to find that cool moniker that people will remember and like, oh, did you go? And so for a while, I was like, oh man, I need to come up with a name. So for a long time, and I DJ'd too, so I was like DJ Juggernaut for a long time, and then I was the Juggernaut as a hip hop artist, and then I started doing more singing stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Name doesn't really apply at that point.
Yeah, and I'm like, I can't really be like, yo, I do R&B, and my name's like, you know, the thuggish one, or whatever. So
real angry hard guy.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, maybe I'll just go by I was like, I can't go by my middle name because my middle name's Tyrese, and so obviously,
a little taken.
I would have though. I'd have been like, that's a cool ass name. But I ended up was going by my full name for a long time, and then at one point I was like, because people would always misspell my name or misspell my last name. They always misspell my first name, but it's like my last name. I'm like, or they think it was Maloney, or And so I was like, I'll just go by Jermaine. I'll just do like the Prince Cher thing. I'll just one name, and that's just what I've gone by for so long now, just Jermaine.
Hey, I dig that. Yeah. And also now with Post Malone being out there, probably you don't get the whole like, did you do it after him?
I'm pre-Malone, damn it.
See, that would be a fun rap name. Hell yeah. No, but I dig that. And it's, it's very straightforward. It's easy to remember. You're going to respond to it easily. So I think it works out pretty well.
Yeah.
Now let's go ahead and let's talk about your writing process a little bit. Yeah. And we're going to break it up into chunks, but we're going to start right at the beginning.
Okay.
So when you get inspired, you're ready to make music. What are some of the things you do to get a track started?
So if you've heard any of my music, it's I'm not genre specific.
No, very much.
Like so. I kind of, when people are like, oh, what kind of music you do? I'm like, I kind of have to give them. It's like, oh, let's get a little bit of this, a little bit of this.
Yeah.
But my process is like whenever actually. Rewind. So my process has changed. So previous to 2016, I didn't play guitar at all.
Oh, interesting.
So I didn't play guitar at all. And so my process was I would like come up with I would come up with like a beat. I'm pretty much, because I'm a loop artist, so it's like I would create the loop in my head and like the melody, and like I would create it in my head, and I would just like sing that all day, every day, just so I wouldn't forget it. And then I would start singing, just changing the melody to like words, slowly but surely. And then I'd come up with, it could be a chorus, it could be a verse. I never know.
Yeah.
And so, that's kind of was my process then. I was like, I would just like create the beat in my head and then, and just sing it to myself. But then I started playing guitar. So post 2016, my writing process, not purposefully, became a little bit different. And so I would come up with the words and the melody. And then I'd be like, okay, how do I transpose this to guitar? Because I'm no Eddie Van Halen or anything like that. So it's like, I got to make sure that what is in my head, I can actually transpose to what I can play, because I can't play everything, you know? And so that was also a part, like making the melody in my head easier to play, to transcribe onto guitar, so I can sing and play it at the same time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, I dig that.
Yeah.
Now, when you're out live now, do you primarily sing and play guitar, or are you do you have a handful of things you do? How are you going out there and getting out there with it? So I'm a loop artist. So I come out with my loop pedal, my RC 300, my Boss. Classic.
Yep. Super classic. I love it. That's the only looper I've ever had.
Yeah.
And then I recently just started using an MPC One Plus.
I saw that. The red one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that thing. And so it's like I'm still like learning and integrating that with like my loop set, but it because I used to bring my whole computer setup DAW. It's just like a whole
it's
thing.
A lot, yeah.
It's just too much. And so I just bring that thing. I got my drums and stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much and then obviously my guitar, which I'm using a G&L.
Okay. Quality.
Yeah. Then the story behind that is my neighbor, my friend, it was his dad's before he passed away. And my friend's a left-handed guitar player, not Will, but my friend's a left-handed guitar player. And I'd come over to the house and we talk about, sports or baseball cards, because I collect baseball cards and sports cards, and we like talk about that. And one night we were all hanging out at the house, and we were just talking cards, and I'd sold him a card, given him a card. He's like, dude, hold on a minute. He comes in, he brings me this guitar, and it's just like, if you guys follow me, you see my guitar, the orange G&L on my page. And he was like, yo, like, I want you to play this because it's just collecting dust. And he gave me the story. It was my dad's before he died. He's like, I'm left-handed. Yeah. And it just doesn't get played. And I want it to get some love. So now I only use this guitar for everything. Yeah. Like for my shows, for my recordings, it's like, I just want to, keep that going and like, honor that request and like, honor, give some homage to his dad as well.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah. It's unfortunate way that it had to have come to you, but still it's cool that you let that live on in that way. That's really special.
Yeah, 1,000%, and then I got a couple guitar pedals, but outside of that, it's just like loops.
No, I dig that. Yeah. Now, getting back to more of the writing side of things, once you get a track finished writing, so it doesn't have to be like recorded and released, but you've gotten it to where you can start learning it and like getting it ready to get out there. Yeah. How long does it usually take you to feel comfortable enough to perform a track?
Okay. I've never been asked this question before. Like from a loop.
Yeah,
just if I'm like learning a song and I'm like,
if like I'll play it that night. Out there. Okay.
I'll play it that night.
Okay.
My process for building loops is I feel like for me it's straightforward. Yeah. It's like if I know the chords, easy. It's usually like the drums and some of like the background noises and stuff. Yeah. That I need to like hone in a little bit if there's like some trumpet or anything like that. So I'll just be driving around, and just doing that whole thing. And if it's a cover song, I'm just listening to the song and like getting all the, it's like, oh, there's a hi-hat. Yeah. And I'm like producing the sounds and getting the right sound in my head as I'm driving around or wherever I'm at. Yeah. And then that night, I'll play it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's usually just, honestly, it's like let's say if I had to leave here and go play a show and I was just like, okay, well, I got to go play a show 2 hours from now. And I've been practicing this beat in my head. I'm going to go play that 2 hours from now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah. I just like to do it.
Yeah. Hey, that makes sense. And I guess if you're kind of putting it all together, some of it you can just kind of make up in the moment too.
1,000%.
Yeah. So you have a lot more control over the situation. That's rad.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I want to take a moment then, and I want to talk about more of your music. So, I jumped on Yield Spotify, and I checked out your Animal EP, which came out mid last year. Yeah. And it's first of all, it's really cool.
Thank you.
Big fan. It's very soulful, very groovy, a little on the funky side, but it's also really tight. Yeah. It's really well put together. And I'm going to be honest, the sound, in my head, I kept hearing all these things, like these little ear tickles of like sounds and genres and things that I wanted to keep attaching it to. Yeah. But it did not feel like any one thing. It was very expressive. It was very open. And I think the thing that I really enjoyed is that the listening experience of it never got boring.
That's awesome.
Never got boring. Like there was always something about it that just made me want to keep paying attention. And what I appreciate the most is I'm not a big lyrics guy.
Yeah.
Like the words are usually something I have to have a lot of listen throughs before it starts to permeate. But there was something about your lyrics that just, they weren't simple.
Yeah.
But they weren't like trying to like overdo it or sell you something. They just, the message was clear. It was presented really well. It felt like everything kind of played its part perfectly. So it was a really, really well put together experience. And the multi-genre experience really kind of spans through it in a really cool way.
Oh yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah, I do appreciate that. I thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm big on lyrics. I can't just like make a pop song. And like, here we go. You know, it's like all of my songs, every song that I've ever written has come from something something that's happened in my life or a story that I've heard from somebody. It's like they all come from like life experiences. Yeah. From one way or another. So a lot of and it's just me just trying to convey that life experience in a way that doesn't, I'm not like trying to fit too much into the space, but it's not just like, so like that you're just like, oh, this music's great. I don't really know what the words are. But I feel like myself, like when you're listening to the EP that it like everybody's kind of experienced something in you know, or knows a story or knows someone that may have, you know, experienced or been in a situation of some sort that they can connect with from my music.
No, I dig that.
Yeah.
Also, I meant to say it for my notes earlier, but I got caught up in the other part of it. The guitar in it is really good.
Yeah.
It is like super solid guitar.
Thank you.
So it's crazy knowing that you didn't even get into it to like actively until like 2016.
Well, and so a little bit of all the main guitar is me, and then my good friend Evan Simcoe, he goes by Even Flow online.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So and he was in a band, you know, Dirty Revival back before COVID and all that fun stuff. But he produced everything on that for me.
Oh, cool.
And he did the mixing because technically it's actually re-release. So I actually released it the first time back in 2019.
Oh, gotcha.
And what happened was I was switching distribution companies, and and they were like, "Well, we're gonna take all your stuff offline." I'm like, "No," and so I had to re-release it. So, but I was doing my first tour to Austin with a great artist. Her name's Joanna Lee, and we were doing our first thing together. Yeah. And I was like, shit, I don't have any music. I have music, but none of it's recorded. Cause it's like, I get all weird about recording. You know, I was like, I want it to be the best. It's like that musician thing. You're like, it's not ready yet.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I have roughly a month and a half to
get something out there,
put all these songs together, record them, mix, master, and like do this whole thing. And so he worked with me, and he was like touring with his band. Like we would come together and we'd like record a bunch of stuff, and then he'd do some, you know, it was just a bunch of back and forth for like a month, literally a month and a half. And I ended up getting final edits and all my CDs and everything like 2 days before we left for Austin.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I guess the rest is history there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely a solid body of work.
Thank you.
I am curious now. I ask everybody this, so I know it's a smaller body of work, but out of all of the tracks you have available, what's one of your favorite ones to perform?
Okay. So this is kind of I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but so the one that I like to sing, I can't sing anymore. 3 years ago, I had throat surgery.
Oh no!
So I went in. 2021. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 2021. I was like, I had done a show with the Kinky Brothers, and my voice went out.
Oof.
And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I need to rest. And I had a show that weekend too. And I was like, the next weekend, I was like, okay, I got to play that show, and I got to take a break. And so I took like 3 weeks off, and it didn't get better. And I kind of sounded like an old blues player. I was like, where's my whiskey here? Yeah. And I was like, this is bad. So I ended up going to OHSU, and the doctor was like, yeah, you should have been here like forever ago, because it's not great.
Yeah.
And so I had a vocal node, right? And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. You know, like, this sucks, but I'm going to have to, you know, do the surgery. And so did the surgery like a month later or something like that. And after I came out, he was like, I didn't notice this before, but one of your vocal cords, your right vocal cord, was actually deflated. So it's like my vocal cord had actually like fallen.
Whoa.
On top of the nodes, you know? And so he's like, we fixed that, and we fixed the vocal nodes. And so I couldn't talk for like 2 weeks.
Oof.
Like, no talking, no, couldn't clear my throat, couldn't whisper, because apparently whispering is worse for you than just regular talking, just so you know. It's worse on your voice.
I had no idea.
I didn't know that either. And so I had learned a little bit of sign language. Everybody thought I was deaf. You know,
You're just bringing a whiteboard with you everywhere.
No, and literally, I had a whiteboard with me.
Oh, well, there you go.
My friend, they got me a whiteboard little thing. And then I had this app. I call it Stephen Hawking app, but it wasn't that. But on my phone. And so I would like type something in and be like, I would like a venti chai tea. So I used that for a while, and then I had to do. I literally had to learn to sing again, and not just because of the vocal note, but because of the fallen vocal cord. And so I had to do vocal coaching at OHSU, just to speak right again, and then I had a vocal coach, Deanna Mayo. Deanna Mayo. Deanna. And she was great. She's very knowledgeable, and like, not only did she know like the vocal stuff, but she knew like the anatomy of the throat and like what and like how certain things do. You know, I'm just like, that's what I need. So now I'm back. Ish. I wouldn't say that I'm 100% of where I was. Yeah. But my favorite, to answer your question, my favorite song to sing on the track is Animal.
Okay.
Is the title track. Just because of like it's about love. Yeah. You know, and it's like I love love. I'm a hopeless romantic in a way. It's just like a lot of my songs are about love and like all this stuff. So it's one of my favorite songs on the EP. The Animal is.
Oh yeah. No, definitely a quality jam.
Yeah.
And also that is a wild story. Thank you so much for sharing that. It seems like you're at least, getting back to it in a full way.
Oh, for sure.
So it's cool to know that even though all that happened, you're swinging back, and hopefully you do get that back up to at 100% at some point. Yeah. But I imagine that just takes time.
Yeah. It's just like, 20 plus years of like singing.
Yeah. You got some wear in there. Oh yeah. Well, now let's go ahead and let's turn more towards music you got cooking. What do you got at the moment that you're working on, or what can you tell us about as far as like new music?
So I'm working with, I've recorded some stuff, working specifically with Evan Simcoe and Matt Brewster.
Oh, cool.
And so Matt, he helped me, he produced my Tiny Desk song that I had put out for Tiny Desk. That's on my page as well. I think that was 2 years ago now. And
Yeah, it was 2022. I saw the YouTube post. Yeah,
2022. Those are really the two guys that I work with right now. Looking to work with. I'm writing with Larissa Birdseye when she gets back from
Shout
Japan.
out Larissa. Yeah.
Shout out Larissa, the bird. And recently talking to my buddy Gil, who goes by. I've actually never said his Instagram name.
Oh.
Glass Eyes. But he's a MIDI artist. Fantastic. He just did a video for me for my venue for the Heights.
Oh, cool.
That's one of the more recent videos on my page as well. And we've kind of been talking a little bit about trying to collab and do some stuff as well. So got some things cooking.
Yeah.
Got some things that are already ready to come out of the oven. They just need some tweaks and that fun stuff. But yeah, I'm trying. I've always said that I want to be like T-Pain, like when he came out, like T-Pain.
Yeah.
Like T-Pain didn't have like a lot of his own songs.
No, I say
but-
that all the time.
Yeah.
He got so famous for like being a
For
part of
feature.
other people's music.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, I want to feature a lot of artists or be on with a lot of artists that are in the town. You know, so that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm looking to work with some folks.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, definitely looking forward to that. Then.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, I have one more music related question, then we're going to
Okay.
move into some of the other stuff you
Yeah,
do.
of course.
But for this next one, I want to kind of zoom out. I want to look at more of kind of music as a whole.
Okay.
What are some of the things about either new music, if you're somebody who takes in the new, or if you're not, just stuff that's new to you that you found recently that you enjoy or you're finding inspiration in at the moment?
I'm weird sometimes because I wouldn't say weird. I mean, I am weird. Very weird. But I tend to like listen to a lot of the same music.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Like when I drive, I'm a weirdo for this, but I also, maybe a lot of other musicians or people who are in music do this. I drive silent. Like I don't necessarily listen to music when I drive. Sometimes I'll listen to a podcast or something like that. But it's pretty silent when I drive for the most part. If I go on a road trip, it'll probably be silent for like an hour,
Yeah.
hour and a half maybe. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to put something on. But
And it's just all Taylor Swift.
it's all, it's just, but when I do, I don't necessarily like to listen to music with words in it.
Okay.
I listen to a lot of like jazz, classical, a lot of classical. Like ever since like elementary school, where they do the like, you like listen to classical and you gotta like write it down on a piece of paper, and whoever's listened to the most at the end of the week, they get like a pizza party or something like that.
I've never heard of that. What?
It was
That would
like
have
a
been
thing.
amazing.
Like I don't know if this was just in Kansas, but they were like, "Yo, we want these kids to listen to classical music."
That is the coolest thing I've ever
So
heard.
that's what they did. That was like some weird initiative. They were like, "Yo, we're gonna," and then you write, and then you write down. You have your parents sign, like, "Oh, you listen to 2 hours of classical music," and who did they? It's like one of those
That's
things.
what I love pizza. I would have
Yeah.
done that. Like I had to read a bunch of books when I was a
Yeah.
kid. That doesn't sound. As
I never
fun.
won.
Yeah.
But I get distracted very easily. I was like, 5 minutes. I'm like, I'm gonna go listen to Prince or something.
Yeah.
I'm tired of listening to classical. But I enjoy classical and like wordless, lyricless music when I'm driving. It's like keeps my mind a little bit more open.
Yeah. Well, I imagine too, as somebody who has to be making a lot of the instrumentation yourself, like the words are already there for you.
Yeah.
So like the need to inspire the music making side.
Yeah.
When it is just you doing all of it, I feel like that's a good place to get inspiration from.
Yeah, and it also helps me with like different sounds. And so it's like, oh, I never thought I could do this hi-hat this way, or I could do this cymbal right this way if I'm like in my head. So it's easier for me to take into account the music itself when there's no lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That's rad.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just going to share this with a little bit about me. Whenever I drive to work, I always put on a new album I've never heard before.
Okay.
Yeah. That is, I just, it's fun because it's one of those things where it's like you have to listen to it because you don't know it.
You don't, yeah.
So it's just like, and sometimes it's not good, but it's only 20 minutes ish of my life. So it's like, I'm going to listen to it the whole ride there anyway, because I'm not changing stuff, but like, it's just a fun way to change things up sometimes.
Yeah. Maybe I should start doing that.
I think you should do both. You should do albums you've never heard before that are all instrumental.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Proper.
Yeah, because then same thing. You're still going to be experiencing kind of new stuff you haven't before, so you're not going to fall into the like, oh, I know this.
Yeah.
But it's still, it's still instruments. It's still new music. It's still kind of a way to catch up.
Yeah, that's proper.
Yeah.
Like now you got me thinking. I'm like, remember in the 90s they used to do instrumental versions of like hip hop songs.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'd have like it on their album.
Yeah.
Right, for like people to freestyle and like. Maybe that's the new thing. Maybe that's the new thing.
Well, if you do
make instrumental versions of your same album.
Okay.
So people can be like, oh, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. No, I dig that. Well, if you end up
for listening.
Yeah, if you end up doing it, let me know.
Yeah, 1,000%.
All right, now I want to kind of turn gears a little bit. I do have one more primary question in this part, but I want to step away for a second because you were gracious enough to have us at. I'm not a lot on camera here, but at your new venue and soon to be open up space, The Heights.
The Heights, yeah.
And can you tell us just a little bit about how you came into the space, what you want to do with it? I guess you could call this the promo for it. Yeah. But tell us everything about this place.
Yeah. So as a lot of people know in the music here in Portland, I've been trying to open up an event space for the better part of like 3+ years, if not more. And it just never like it was always kind of like right there. Yeah. But certain things, it didn't work out, and in hindsight, it's like, it's good. Because we're at where we're at now. Yeah. And so I had come into this space with another friend of mine, as another spot, and unfortunately that didn't work out for them. And so not that long ago, I met the building owner, Sandra McLeod, and I was like, I got a 5-year proposal for a business proposal. Yeah, it's all on paper. Here you go. And she read. She was like, this is good. Yeah. I was like, I know.
I practiced this a couple times before.
Right. Yeah. And so it's like, I sent her all that stuff and I was like, if you want to invest, I have everything ready. It's like, I have, for investors, I had like investment stuff, like how you're going to get paid back, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I had this 5-year proposal and a plan. And she was like, that's great, let's go. And so she's been gracious enough to allow me to be in the space and helping like get a lot of the aesthetics. Yeah.
Which again, y'all can't see on camera, but
yeah.
Real good.
Yeah.
Good.
There's a walkthrough on my page. You'll see it. And so a lot of this was a collaboration between me and her, and it's been a journey. Yeah, oh man, I could
only imagine.
It has been a journey. So right now, just a little backstory on the space, guys. So it used to be a strip club, and it been a strip club for multiple years, in the higher 20s. Gotcha. It's been a strip club that long. And recently, in the last year, it was a strip club, and a lot of not great things happened here. I won't go into all the details of that, but not great stuff happened here. And so when I applied for OLCC, now because of what that last business owner had done at this space, there's kind of like a bad mark on the building itself, which really sucks for us. And so OLCC is like, well, there's been a lot of bad stuff that's happening, so now we're going to have to do an investigation, not on what had happened, but to determine the essentially safety of the space, and that will also determine if we have restrictions on our liquor license, which also sucks because we're essentially getting punished for
somebody prior.
And we're going to be all ages, and we're more community-based events.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything that I've done in the community and for other businesses.
Yeah, and now you're bringing it
in
here.
one space.
Yeah.
And so it's really community-driven, and we like, my hope is that they're like, you know what, we know that this is something that's going to be for the community, and we don't want to put these restrictions on you. And we're not going to punish you for what had happened because of the other business.
Yeah.
So that's the hope.
Yeah.
So we were planning to open in January, and now we have to push that back now till we don't know.
Ugh.
So they said their investigation will probably take a few months. Hopefully it takes less time than that.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully they're over offering and going to, underperform in that respect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of that is like, like a lot of the community-based things that they look into. And so I know that they're going to reach out to the city themselves and like talk to the city, and they got to talk to the lawyer. Like it's like a whole thing. It's like really a whole thing. And so it's just like, all we can do is hope that, that they're just like, you know what, we're going to give you guys a chance.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
I'm pretty optimistic. You're out there. You're doing a lot of stuff. You've got good standing. So I'm sure they'll find that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, I mean, again, still a really cool space. Excited for when it does really finally open up.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be big, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too. I'm super stoked. I can't wait to open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I want to segue to one other thing. I mean, this is probably more for me than everybody else, but I believe that you do a little bit of voiceover work.
I do. That is actually, it's funny that you bring that up, because before I even started doing music, voiceovers was like my thing. And like, not that I got paid for it, but that's what I wanted to do. Like, even though like as a kid, I'm like, I want to be music, but like voiceovers was like, that's kind of how I started singing, because I would imitate these artists that I really liked. And that's really how I got to start being able to sing and hold a tune. Was just practicing sounding like other people.
Okay.
But yeah, voiceover, like my whole life, people were like, well, maybe not my whole life, but definitely since puberty. People were like, "Oh, you got a good voice. Like, you ever thought doing voiceover?" I'm like, "Damn right, I've thought about it." But I've had a few opportunities that never quite landed. Like some years ago, I had this was years ago, but I had like a friend of a friend's parent. They were like, "Oh, we have this dentist, whatever. We want you to do the phone thing when people call in." But that didn't end up working out. But yeah, I'm always down and love to do voiceover stuff and cartoon voices. Like that was like my main thing. Cartoon voices, like Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, and then like some Family Guy stuff. It's just like all these funny voices that I like to do. That the characters like sit out to me. I'm like, that's a cool voice. I want to learn how to do that.
Yeah, hell yeah. No, I dig that. Have you ever thought about moving into like comedy with that at all?
I feel like every musician at some point is like, I could do comedy.
Well, more I mean like voice, like voice imitation comedy is a thing if you can do it well.
Oh,
yeah,
kind of, yeah.
Or was it? Oh my God, what's the word that? Impressionist.
Impressionist.
Yeah. I knew there was a word for it.
Yeah, there's a lot of cats that I follow online that like growing up, like Matt TV, Frank Caliendo.
Yeah,
that was my guy. I was just like, he's killing it. this Madden impression, so crazy. But yeah, I mean, I forgot the question.
Oh, I was just asking if you ever consider getting into that realm of comedy if you're good at it.
I've thought about it. And also to answer your question, I write a lot of comedy.
Oh, okay.
I do. I have like pages and pages in my phone of comedy. I'm just, I haven't quite gotten to the point where I'm like, I feel confident enough to go try and make people laugh. I can make people feel through music.
Yeah.
I can do that, but it's like comedy is a whole different thing.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like there's going to be once a month open mic comedy here.
Yeah. There will be comedy here, though. 1,000%.
I dig that.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I've got one last question to go in this middle portion.
Yeah.
And this is probably the densest question in the interview.
Okay.
But, we've talked about your experience with music, your actions, your reactions.
Yeah.
But when it's just you and music one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
Ooh, that's good. Music has kept me out of very dark places in my life. And I realized that more than ever when I had my throat surgery and not being able to like interact, talk to people, sing. Like playing, play, but like singing is like, that's my main instrument. And not being able to do that, like I was depressed.
Yeah.
And it like really put me in not a great space. And so being able to play again, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so energized again. And like the people's reactions and like when people are feeling your music, it's like, it's a feeling that I can't really explain or really compare to anything else. Cause it's the only place that I've gotten that feeling. And it like music, I think music music has been embedded in my DNA.
Yeah.
Since I was a child. And so like not having that is like someone's like taking a piece of me. So like, yeah, but music just really keeps me sane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Music keeps me out of a weird place. And it's like, if you're like in a weird spot, you're like, I'm gonna go sing it out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go sing it out. I'm gonna play some music. I'm gonna go, do something that involves notes.
Yeah. Sounds like it keeps you grounded.
Yeah. 1,000%.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that.
Of course. Yeah.
All right, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions.
Okay.
And for these, sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But this first one is pretty straightforward. If you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive.
Okay.
Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
Oh. And is it like famous people?
It can
like
be anybody. It can be anybody.
Ooh, okay. Well, I would really like. There's a few people. I'm gonna name a couple. I would like to work with T-Pain.
Oh yeah, for sure. T-Pain, if you're
1,000%.
watching,
Be
on the show.
Holla at your boy.
And then come work with Jermaine.
T-Pain. I really like and you asked me why, right?
Yeah. Or how?
Yeah.
How would you work with them? Yeah.
I would want to work with T-Pain just to like, not only to do music with him, but to get insight on his knowledge of navigating the industry.
Yeah.
Because when he came in, he was in his 20s, and you don't hear about a lot. You don't hear a lot about like what happens on the back end. Like you just like, oh, this song is tight.
Yeah.
But you're like, I recorded the song in my basement,
Yeah.
So it's like one of those like, so I would like to like pick his brain.
Yeah.
About like industry stuff and like kind of what that looks like. The other person is Teddy Swims.
Hell yeah.
Teddy. I just love his music, man. Teddy is one of those people that I feel just like myself. He grabs an audience not only with the power of his voice, but with his lyrics.
Yeah.
And I'm, again, like we were talking about before, I'm big into lyrics. Like that's like a really, really big thing for me. And Jelly Roll.
Oh, hell yeah.
Jelly Rolls is the dude, man. And
I've heard nothing but amazing things from anybody that's ever come into contact with him.
Yeah. And he's just like, is like my you know, my good friend Jackie Rohr, got to sing with him, and he's just like, everything that I've heard about him, he's just like a stand-up dude.
Yeah.
Just like really cool. And I would just like to hang out with him. If he smokes weed, I want to smoke some weed with Jelly. And then I would really like to do music with Post Malone.
Okay. Pre-Malone and Post Malone.
Pre-Malone and Post Malone, that's right. And I pick those people like stand out to me, not only because of their music, but because of their impression on their fans and the people that listen to their music, and how they navigate with, well, not navigate, how they show up for community and their fans. That speaks volumes to me. You could be whoever, and you're like, I sold 80 billion tracks or whatever. Yeah. It's like, oh, I want to work with you, Jermaine. It's like, well, I don't want to work with you.
Yeah.
And it's like, I have no problem telling someone that might be up here that I don't want to work with them. I've always been pretty straightforward, and everything that I've done, you know, in my career in music has been to help the community in some sort of way, whether it's me, you know, getting into a spot and, you know, revamping their entire music program, or creating music programs, which is what I have been doing for a long time, in these spaces that maybe didn't have a music program before, but want music. Yeah. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, okay. You were explaining why these are the people you want to work with.
Right. And so it's just like the way that they work with their fans and with community. They just seem like all around good people. And it doesn't, now I remember. And it doesn't matter what your status is in the industry or whatever. It's like, if you're not a good person, I don't want to work with you. Yeah. And that's just what it is. It's not about clicks, or it's about community and how you speak to them and how you show up for them. Because if you show up for the community will show up for you. And
I know it?
Yeah. However way you need them to show up for you. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, subsequently, who is a local artist that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
I've connected with a lot of.
Yeah, I was going to say, I imagine this one will be a little tougher.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, this is a hard question for me. Because I've connected with so many of them.
Yeah.
And it's like,
anybody maybe that's shown up on your radar recently?
There are a few people, but I can't.
That's all.
I can't remember their names, but I was like, ooh, let me follow them.
Okay.
So they pop up in my feed sometimes. I'm like, oh shit, okay, yeah. I need to maybe send them a message or something like that. But yeah, I can't think of anybody like right off the top.
That's all good.
Right now.
If you think of it, tell me, and if I remember to, I'll put it in the episode and post.
Cool. Awesome.
Also, everybody, you know what to do. At people in the comments that you think he'd be a cool fit with. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limits, and it's pretty literal in this sense. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power, it's guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show, and it doesn't have to be a venue. It could be anywhere.
Yeah.
Except for here, because obviously you're going to be able to do that full time. That's going to happen anyway. So let's expand a little further. But where would you want to perform?
Man, that's a great question. I might have two answers to this. So the first place would be Carnegie Hall.
Okay.
and and the reason I say that, so I'm in my late 30s, almost 40. Don't tell nobody.
Oh. Yeah, just, definitely not on the internet.
But when I was growing up, there was Bugs Bunny. I grew up with Bugs Bunny and all those guys, and they were all very classically, like the music was very classically driven. And there's an episode, and I believe it's with Elmer Fudd. And obviously Bugs Bunny. Yeah. And I think there was actually two at one point, like two like kind of classical opera episodes with those two in there. But the one I remember, I had it on tape, but it was like Carnegie Hall. And I just remember, and I was just like, oh, and it's like full. I was like, oh man, that place looks so cool. Yeah. And I've had friends that have played at Carnegie Hall, like that are, a little bit higher, upper echelon in the music scene that played at Carnegie Hall. And I'm like, that would be okay. Maybe there's three. So that would be one. That would be like in the top. Sydney Opera House.
Oh, for sure.
Like that place is like, dope. Like, why wouldn't you want to play there? And then really like, ideal show would be a show that is central in Portland somewhere that's got really big space. Maybe Pioneer Square. Okay. But I would want to put on a show for the community. Yeah. Like that's like a big thing for me. It's like I want everybody to have access to good music and to good shows and have access to these musicians that they might not have known about or had access to. So it's like my perfect show. I'm going to change the question a little bit, the answer, but my perfect show would be a lineup. It would be like a few days long, but it would be like all of the artists in Portland, and then we would have some upcoming artists, like an upcoming artist, and then like the artists of Portland that we work with that are doing some stuff as well. Yeah, I would want to do that. And if money is like no problem or anything like that, I would put everybody on and make sure that everybody was paid right and like comfortable, and like we'll just put on like the biggest show for the community, for the city.
Hell yeah, I love that. Well, hopefully it'll all get to happen here one day.
Yeah, hopefully so.
All right, now to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have not put out an album in 100 years. Okay, damn, you were just on it. Yeah. You're just on it.
Yeah, that would be, because I want to hear that album that they put out that nobody's heard yet.
I think somebody did end up buying it and leaked some of the tracks, but don't quote me on that.
So someone did buy it, but then it got confiscated by the FBI, and then, but what the crazy thing is, like, so the dude that had it, that bought it, copied it. And so the whole thing about that album, it was like, it's the only one in existence, blah, blah, this and this. But he copied it. Yeah. And so I think they were trying to sue him or something like that. Some kind, not Wu-Tang, but like the FBI or whoever it was like, there's only supposed to be one. But I would love to get my hands on like an unreleased Wu-Tang album.
Okay, yeah, no, I dig that. Yeah, I dig that.
That would be where that would be like creme de la.
Yeah, very much so. Hell yeah. All right, now with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. Cool. What can we look forward to between, let's say, now and the end of the year, or now and the middle of next year?
Now in the middle of next year, the Heights Lounge and Event Space.
Yeah, very much open. So. Yep.
Yeah, like that's like the main thing that I'm looking forward to, and some new music and hopefully some music videos, because I've been kind of working on a little bit of that as well. I've never put out a music video before. I've worked on them, and before COVID, and then COVID happened, and then it just fizzled out. But yeah, I've been a little while ago, before all this kind of came to be. I was working with a local dancer in the Filipino community. Her name's Angel. She's fire. And so I was like, I got this idea for one of my songs that I'm coming out with, and I want to do like this, like a cool artistic like dance. And so we started doing things, and then I just got super busy. But like, I'm excited to like put out more video content and be the spot where people also come to do production and video in shows. Yeah, here at the Heights.
Oh yeah,
like that's like the only thing that's on my brain right now.
No, that makes perfect sense. All right, and then for this next one, go and look straight at your camera. Tell everybody how they can find you.
Oh yeah, well, you can find me online, Singer Jermaine, on all the platforms. SingerJermaine, Jermaine, like Jermaine Jackson, but less money. Well, who knows? We might have the same amount of money, because Michael didn't give me nothing either. On my website, singerjermaine.com. And you can find me at the Heights.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Will Kinky, What It Do. I want to shout out my cousin Shrista. She be killing it in the comedy game.
Oh yeah, she's been on the show before.
Yeah, Shrista's the homie. That's all I can think of off the top of my head right now. Yeah.
All right, well, then with that being said, I've got one last question to go. Yeah. But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second.
Do your thing.
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation.
Yeah.
But in all of music, what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? It's a bit of a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know.
Ooh.
But it's one you think everybody should know.
You know, I was listening to the other day.
Ooh.
So it's kind of funny. So one of my rap names for just like a very, very brief second was Kid Creole. And then I found out that there was actually a Kid Creole. And recently, my buddy Sean Sisson, I was over at his house. We were doing like some film stuff, and he pulled out this record, and it was Kid Creole.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not even going to tell you what it's all about.
Yeah,
I want you to go and listen to it. So Kid Creole, if you could find Kid Creole online and listen to some of their music, super dope. It's a deep cut, and I think you guys will enjoy it.
Oh yeah, well thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, now with that being said,
can I do a couple more shout outs?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Oh yeah. I remember I was like, I want to shout out my boy Evan Flo, Evan Simcoe. I want to shout out my band, the Kinky Brothers, and my mom. I love you, Mom.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and my brother, Jamal. What up, bro?
All right, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Jermaine.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.